Everybody, welcome to another episode of Visible Kindness. I'm Ed Squire, your host, and today I got another wonderful guest, Elba Colon. What I love about Elba, she is into something that I'm very much into, which is kindness, like all my guests, because kindness is the name of the show. It's what I like to talk about, and kindness can reach us in every different level in our culture and in our lives today, personally, in our families, in our community, in our country, and around the world, which we know is in desperate need of. And I love what Elba's doing. I didn't say that right, did I? Did I get that right?
Yeah.
Elba? Okay. You got such a different name. See, my name's like Ed. All right. So I can keep going.
Napoleon was exiled in the island of Elba.
Well, that doesn't help me. And what I love about Elba is she's a transformational life coach and a speaker. She has over 20 years of experience, and she's doing something that I love when I ran into her, because she has a company going, she has a business going where she is working to help other people in leadership and have emotional intelligence. The cool thing about her is she's the founder of an organization called Awaken the Gratitude, which is a movement dedicated to helping individuals and organizations cultivate the power of gratitude. I'm going to ask her some questions about that, and we're going to find out what she's doing, where she's going, and what her goals are. So, Elba, welcome to the show. I'm so glad you made it today. Introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about what you're doing.
Yeah, well, Ed, first I want to tell you, thank you for having me. It's such a joy and a pleasure and honor to be on this platform. So super excited to dive into this conversation. And so what I am is, yes, my name is Elba Colon. It's a Puerto Rican ring to it. And I am the founder of Awaken the Gratitude. And that happened, it's not something to say, oh, I'm going to do this. It started with a Facebook Live. I did a challenge myself. They interviewed 21 people for 21 days. And someone said, you know what? I think you starting something here. You're awakening the gratitude. And I'm like, what? You're right. And so ever since then, I just been running with that, Awaken the Gratitude, with YouTube podcasts, business, everything. And really all I want to do is just people become aware of the power of gratitude, where it drives them right back into their heart's space and find all that they ever need or want right in that space through the power of gratitude.
So if I'm not mistaken, do you work with women mostly, or all together? Is that how you work?
So I do work with women, like as a life coach. I do work with women, but as a facilitator, I speak to, all genders, and, because I'm working with nonprofit organizations, I'm working with small businesses. So of course I'm working with all genders as a facilitator, as a speaker. However, as a life coach, it's specifically for women.
Interesting. So you coach individuals, women. Obviously, you have a program that helps them. Can you kind of break that down for us? So if I was a woman, how would you help me?
Yeah, of course. So I am also the founder of Awaken the Sacred Women. And in the Awaken the Sacred Women is the Sacred Women's Circle. It's where a group of women come together collectively as one, where we come and find the medicine in the circle. And in the circle is rise the medicine to heal and transform us. And we use the tool like gratitude to stir that medicine up. And so as we heal, we transform, we go back to our communities and heal and transform the world, creating a gratitude ripple effect, which is the bigger vision. The big purpose is to heal and transform the world also through us women.
Interesting. So could you give me an example of a couple of things that you would coach, or I don't even like the word coach here, but you would set the example and help the people who you're coaching, and not from a different perspective, which I'm going to ask you in a minute. But when you're coaching with them, what are like the 2 or 3 main things? That's not the right word either, but the main, like, how do you coach them? What's the main things that you look at to help them? What do they focus on?
Yeah, so a lot of times the women that come to me have a tendency or burnout, imposter syndrome, and disconnected. They're totally disconnected to the point, and I've had many of them come to me like this, come to me where they're in the verge of taking their own lives. I don't know if I can say that aloud, but they just don't want to. Okay. And so they're totally disconnected. And these women are high achieving. They're in position of leadership. They're in C-suites. They're entrepreneurs, but yet they're totally disconnected. And so what I do is I put them back on the path to getting back home safely, which is the heart space, without compromising their values. That way they can still be the leader that they are already. However, they're doing it with a new intention, a new approach, and they do it. And when I say with new intention, new approach, is they're not doing it to get validation. They're doing it because they're doing it out of joy. And so when they're doing it out of joy, that's where they're experiencing real freedom. And so they're not doing it to get these accolades that it doesn't matter anymore or to prove anything anymore. They're doing it because they want to from their heart space.
I like that. I also like how you say that you like to help them. And I'm like, I'm not a woman, but half the time I would love to jump in. Men need to do more courses like this and help men instead of teaching men how to make money and be successful. It's like, let's find ourselves first, But you talk about how to break free from burnout and how to break out of imposter syndrome. And this is what I like about what you say, and help them to learn how to align themselves with being authentic. So can you describe what it means to be free from burnout and imposter syndrome and learn to be authentic? Because I've been in that journey myself, and it's taken me a long time to get there. And I'm just curious. And honestly, half the time I do podcasts, it feels like I'm doing this for myself, because I love what my guests are saying, because I learn so much. But do you understand what I'm asking? Like the burnout syndrome, and how do you help them find their authentic selves?
Well, because they are totally disconnected from their true authentic selves, they become burnout because they're doing all the things to have validation, to validate their existence, to validate that they matter. So that's where that burnout coming from the doing. And with the doing comes the mask. So the mask gives them that sense of feeling, I'm an imposter. It's imposter syndrome is a mask that they're putting on. And so putting on that mask wears them out too, because now they're people pleasing, they become codependent, that everything is behind the mask, and now they don't know who they are. And so once they're see the power of gratitude, what it does is put them on a path to their soul. And the soul is the state of unconditional love, which is right back into their heart center space. And so anytime anyone, and I know, what that feeling, that sense of joy, like when we're joyful, there's lightness, we feel light. And anytime we're doing something that we enjoy, that's where the word enjoy, ENJOY. Well, change that from EN to IN. I enjoy of doing the things that I enjoy doing. And that's how, when we're doing what we passionately love to do, and we're not doing it because we want those allocates, or we trying to prove ourselves, or we're any of that, we're doing it because we want to, then that's where the flow of alignment, when the alignment comes together between our mind, what it wants logically, and what it wants with our hearts, when it's in alignment, that's when the flow comes, and it feels like joy, and it spreads to others.
Man, I love what you're saying, because there's so much out there that where there's people, and I'm not saying negative to it, because it's good. But there's so much focus on accomplishing things. You know what I mean? it's accomplishing things, and it seems to be there's a focus on you'll find your joy when you are successful, or if you get this or gain that, or it's all about accomplishing. And I've accomplished so much in my life, and I've found out that yeah, there's a lot of joy and success and happiness came in that, but that can be taken away so quickly, and your life can change so fast if you haven't grounded into who your authentic self is, and you're able to live that way. Then you're gonna live a life that's supported by what you have, not who you are. What would you say are what would you say are the biggest, or a couple of the biggest challenges that they have in getting to that place of being authentic in themselves? Because that is one thing to say, it's another thing to do. So I love how you've explained what it's like to be there, but what are the challenges that people have getting there?
They don't they get lost getting there. They get lost, and because there's so many ways to getting there. There's so many modalities, so many podcasts, so many books, so many of everything, that it's like we get lost because we overwhelm ourselves with data information, because we're out there looking and we're going by what our minds think what it should be, or what could look what it wants, rather. Thank you. Rather than trusting ourselves, starting to trust ourselves just right where they're at, and just say, where should I go here? And really, it really starts with nature. We can never go wrong with nature. And what I mean by nature is simply going for a walk, simply appreciating the value of the sun. That's why I love gratitude, because gratitude grounds us. When we go into our gratitude journaling, and let me tell you something before I go into what I'm going to tell you here in a minute. And this is for the folks who are listening, a lot of people will get turned off by this subject, gratitude, and they're like, oh, I do that already. And the reason they get bored with that, and if you're bored, or if anyone listened to this and did have that thought, come back, because I'm going to tell you, you're doing it wrong. Folks have a tendency to do gratitude journaling or just gratitude at the surface level. And at the surface level, all they're being grateful for are for the things that are aligned to their values, that make them happy. Oh, that made me happy. I'm grateful for that. Oh, you did that for me. I'm grateful for that. How about the things that did not go along your way? Are you grateful for those things? Because what happens is, if we lean into all the good things, then we're living in the fantasy. But if we look also at the challenges, if we are not grateful for the challenges, then we become resentful. So now we're out of alignment. That's why folks says, I am grateful, but they feel crappy because they're not being grateful for the challenges. Gratitude brings balance. So yeah, of course, work-life balance. No, there's no balance in the work-life balance, but our perception can have balance. So when you're grateful for the blessings and for the challenges, now you have balance. And once we have balance with our perception, then our lives, our work and life is harmonized. Now we have harmony. So in going back to your original question, how do people get to finding their way to themselves? Well, gratitude journaling. And so, because you could get lost. I remember I was lost. Like, oh my God, I know I transformed, and now that I've awakened, now what? Because I'm not the same person who I was before. I'm a new creature. How do I behave? Who am I? What do I do? And now we're like up here, we're happy but yet lost. And so the way we ground ourselves is to start with gratitude journaling.
I like what you're saying, because as you were talking, I was thinking about my own journey, as I always do, and I think about other people that are going through that journey as well. And then I was also thinking about people that are movie stars and other successful people. And the reality is they're human beings too. And I've been noticing there's been some really big, well-known people that have kind of turned into this space. I don't know if that's the right word, where they've like I was thinking of, for example, it was yeah, it was Mel Gibson, and his house got completely burned down in the fire in California. And so the news people came, they talked to him, and it was amazing how he talked, because he lost everything in that burnout. And I like how he said it doesn't matter how much, because he's got lots of money. But he lost all of the personal things that money can't get back. That would just break your heart. I think of the things I have. Think of what you have. Even if you have the ability to build back, you can't get back the personal things that can't be replaced. And I thought that was a strong and powerful message that was given to him. And he was. I just really enjoyed it. I liked how his comment was not. There was no like. He was not fearful. He was not mad. He was angry. Of course, he was to some degree, but he was so grateful that he had his life, and he's grateful that he can rebuild again. He's sad that he lost but he's been through so much of his own trauma that people don't even realize. But I love how even people at that level, it doesn't matter what level you're at. I think that's my point. It doesn't matter what level you're at. Number one, money isn't going to make you happy. It can't. And if you lose everything you have and you lose personal things, money doesn't do anything. And I just really appreciate how everything you said relates to that, because he has done a lot of work in his life. He's just one of a number of celebrities in Hollywood that have done that. And there's a whole bunch who have not. And when there was interviews with them, and when they lost everything, it was like, holy cow, they were just out of their minds with sadness and grief, and they couldn't find anything to be grateful for. And then they would blame it on the, of course, blame it on politics, or blame it on there's no water, or whatever you blame it on, it happened. And it can make a huge difference in here. You and I we're just, you're not a movie star, are you? Are you? Okay, neither am I. But it makes no difference who you are in life when you learn how to be grateful like that. That's so good. I wanted to ask you also, what would you say are some of the, when it comes to your business now? So you have women that you coach, yes, and then you speak, and describe that side of your business as well. What you're doing there.
As far as the speaking part, or the coaching part, which part?
On the speaking part. So the other side of your business that you're growing, and you're planting, and like what's happening on that side of your world?
Yes. Okay. So I am also so here in Columbus, Ohio, we have a networking group called Connected Networking Group, and it started 10 years ago by a gentleman called Chris Bora, who's today my personal mentor and coach. He started a networking group, and he was an introvert who he had a business. He wasn't doing well with his business, so he learned how to network, and he figured out what networking is. So, and he changed the whole paradigm of how to approach networking through relationship building authentically. He has this program that does that. Well, with that, I went through his program. And ever since then, he helped me to network. And through that networking space, I became the chapter leader of one of the, what do you call that? One of our suburbs here in Columbus, Ohio, in Hilliard. So I'm the chapter leader of Connected Networking Group, where we have at least 15,000 members, and we're exploding all throughout the world. The goal is because we understand and know that diversity is our strength, and connecting and being connected is better. So that's our mission and theme. Well, Mhm. So I use that platform to speak, of course, to help other small businesses to grow, connect, build our community, because we know we are here to meet, collaborate, and grow. And I use that platform as an opportunity to speak. Well, I had the amazing opportunity. We just launched Connected Networking Group in Zimbabwe, Africa, because the goal is to have 10,000 networking groups by 2035. And so I happen to be the first speaker there. And it's a networking group, and a group of Africans, and it happens to be a church group. So I took the chapter leader asked me as the pastor also like to encourage his congregation. And so of course I used the platform to speak about gratitude. So as a speaker, so I say all that to say, as a speaker, I use every platform I can to speak on the message of gratitude, because my big vision is to create the gratitude ripple effect, because it's in the gratitude ripple effect our planet will heal and transform into something beautiful harmoniously, where we can be kind with one another, like showing kindness. Because I'll say this because I remember writing it to you, that when we're in gratitude, when we're in gratitude, and I'm going to tie this in with kindness, being kind to someone is an act of gratitude. And so we need more kindness around the world. And so how can we show kindness towards the world? By being gratitude for everyone, for everything, for every challenge, for every blessing, to create this harmony um, around planet, because our planet is hurting. It's in
Yes.
pain.
And we definitely, and it's that's the reason why I was so excited to have you do this podcast, because kindness is a huge thing in my life, obviously, and it's difficult when it comes to what's happening in our culture today. Uh, it just is. Um, yeah, it's one step at a time. It's one step at a time. We have to learn how to not be offended and be grateful, like you said, be in joy with where we're at. And I'm always in a habit of not talking about events that are taking place in the world, but it's connecting one on one with people, and just not giving a rip with all these other things that are going on. If you're gonna talk about, I was going to ask you, is there what website or websites would be could people go to check out what you're doing? We'll put it in the podcast notes when we're done. But what is, because I'm curious myself, what is that?
Sure. So for the Awaken the Gratitude for nonprofit organization to reach out to me is of course, www. Who says www anymore? Awaken thegratitude.com is for that. And then for women to follow me is www.inspiredbyelba.com.
Excellent. Oh, that's great. So then let me ask you, kind of, as we come near the close, let me ask you and I don't think I asked you this. If I did, see, forgive me for asking. And like we were talking about before the show, and it's like, everybody knows I had a brain surgery a few months ago, so who knows? I could edit this. I don't know. But did I ask you the challenges that you're having in both of those arenas? Did I ask you that?
No, well, no, not in here, not in here. No, no. The challenge I have is to 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 people realize people take gratitude lightly. They don't take it seriously. And and it's like, how can I get through to you to say, yes, use this. It'll make a world different. If it's anything, it's the beginning of transformation. It'll be the beginning. There's all kinds of modalities, but we got to first get our perspective in balance because folks are fragmented everywhere. Like they're just fragmented. And what gratitude does, it brings wholeness. It grabs all the fragments of all the aspects of a person, whether they look good or they look bad, but it brings them together. And when we bring them together, that's when we become whole. That's when we become complete. That's when we're lacking no thing. And that right there, when we're whole, complete, lacking no thing, that's when we're at peace. Because we're in pieces everywhere. We're just one solid piece. And so if the challenge I have with that is that folks don't see the value of, wow, let me use that tool as gratitude. That can make a world of difference. And they just don't see it. And I know because my mentors are Dr. John D. Martini and Kerwin Ray. Dr. John D. Martini, he's like the guru of gratitude. I've read his books. I study his craft. I study his work. And then, of course, Dr. Joe Dispenza, he talks about gratitude all the time, all the time. And I think even studying his work, I don't know, maybe, I don't know. I can just feel in my intuitiveness that when folks are listening to him, watching him, because I've been into an event where he is speaking, people get excited, but I wonder, are they really getting it? That it all begins with gratitude. And if folks can just catch that, then it's like, okay, then let me have that. I want to learn. And it's like, yes, let's go. Let's do it. Let's get it done.
This has been a great conversation because it is so, like, if there were the top 3 or 5 things that are not only needed but are actually taking place in the world today, and kindness is starting to get. I like social media because it can bring it to the surface where we need to see it and hear it. And it's a little bit on the news. It's not much, but people they're hungry. They're hungry to find themselves. They're hungry to be authentic. They're hungry to be kind. And there's always a core of people that are so hard. They're not changeable right now, if that makes any sense, because they're so focused on whatever it is they're focused on. But I love that there's more and more content out there of many different types that are outside of all of the influence that's taking place, as opposed to the influence of being kind to yourself and kind to others is more important than anything else. And it's coming out. And I really appreciate having you on the show and doing this. I can't wait to talk. I can't wait to talk after we hang up, because if there's anything I can do to help you, and I know there's some things I can do to help you, it'll be great. But I just want to thank you for being here today. Is there anything else you want to add that's on your mind before we close up?
Yeah, I just want to recap real quick about Mel Gibson in regards to what you said. And what I just shared regarding about the wholeness and completeness, that's where that comes from. Like he lost everything, but yet he lost everything, but yet he has everything. And so when we're in that space where we're back to our authentic selves, into our essence, I know, I'll speak for myself, and I've heard other people say this, I am everything, and yet I'm nothing. That's true freedom right there.
This has been awesome.
So thank you. I appreciate you so much.
And I really appreciate you taking the time to come on the show here today. And I'm looking forward to seeing the impact that it has on other people's lives. And I'm sure they can reach out to you. What's the best way for them to reach out to you?
Best way to reach out to me is really, you can find me on LinkedIn, Elba Colon. That's a great way to reach out to me. Inspired by Elba Colon, or inspiredbyelba.com. It's a great place to find me, whether a nonprofit organization or organization, because down the bottom, you'll see all my social media there. One more thing I want to tell you in regards to what you said about kindness, it will catch up. Give it some time, because I remember when gratitude was in that space that you're speaking of right now, and over the course of years, it's like a trend, and then it finally picked up. And so that's what's happening with kindness. You're bringing a lot of awareness out into the air, and the wave will come and it'll catch up, and you'll see it climb too. So you're in the beginning stages. That's the fun part. So there's no doubt. And so thank you, because what happens is whatever I learn about you as a man, this is what I've learned about men. It's interesting. I didn't find that as a woman. I found it through a man. Is that man itself just simply want kindness. Just be kind. And I looked up in the dictionary the etymology of kind. It means family. And so what your message here is, what you're creating is family by being kind. Kin, K-I-N, and then they just added the word D.
I love that. I appreciate you saying that. It means a lot to me. It really does.
So
We'll have to do this again. And again, I really appreciate you being here.
Thank you.